afternoon, everyone. My name is Omar Ramos of Omar Ramos Photography. I want to thank the Plano Photography Club for giving me the opportunity to critique this wonderful work that comes out of this group. I've had the pleasure of doing this in the past, and I really enjoy to see all the levels of photography that comes through this group. I think you guys execute some wonderful work. A little bit about myself. I've been a professional photographer for a little over 30 years. I've done pretty much almost every genre of photography, from product photography, obviously portraits, commercial work, and I guess I call myself today a commercial portrait photographer. It ranges between corporate and fashion. Do work with modeling agencies and creative agencies in Dallas. So that's all I'm going to share about myself. If you'd like to visit my website to get more of an idea of what I do, go to www.omarramosphotography.com. And here we go to the judging. Okay, the first up on our judging is the entry-level photos. The first image that I'm clicking on is Rose for Mary Claire. I think it could have been a little bit better. I think it's too tight. The highlights are a little bit too blown out, and again the sharpness is lost somehow. It could have been, but not sharp. It's just when you zoom in that much, you can see it has to be tack sharp to really grab the viewer's attention. This image receives a 7. It is Vine and Valve. It's you have I think too much going on. You have the window, the wood window in the background, the large valve pipe, and then you have the vine. Maybe shot it in a different angle and just maybe cropped in and forget about the window, or just shot the window in the vine, the open space in the vine. I don't know. It's just, to me, just got a lot going on. This image though does receive a 7. Dallas Night Light Trails. Maybe if you had a shot that laid out just I love the orange and red traffic lights, the cars going away from you, then the cars coming to you. I just think that it just makes it a little bit more interesting. Maybe I'm not sure of the angle that you were set up. This image does receive a 8. Okay, next image is Out of the Morning Mist. This image is kind of confusing to me, because at first when I looked at it, I thought it was smoke, flat, and just doesn't have any dynamics to it. There's no contrast. It's a very flat image. The composition is just a little bit too straight on. This image receives a 9. Okay, next photo is Baby Bird's First Outing. Very nice shot. Maybe it would have been better to not crop in too tight. Just there's certain aspect of the image that is not sharp. The face of the bird, the beak, the head of the bird is on a fuzzy side. The colors are a little bit muted. There's really no snap or contrast to the blacks, the darks of the image, and there's no the color. The blue is muted. This image does receive a 9. Okay, the next image is Destined Sunset. I think it could have been a little bit better. Couple of things. I could see that in the image. I don't know if this is from editing or whatnot. There are some spots in the skies. It looks like your sensor needs to be cleaned. So that's something you might want to look at. The sailboat is a little bit it doesn't have any pop to it. It's not really sharp, so it doesn't really stand out. So this image receives a score of an 11. The image, Street Musician Finding Solitude. Nice portrait. I'm just not crazy about all the stuff. If it was just him and the guitar and not all the graffiti, or maybe if you would have angled the shot where the wall is not too much in front of him and he's lost in the background, the bottle of water in the knapsack and the graffiti, I think it's just too much. This image receives a score of 12. Okay, the next image is The Moment That Leon Lights Started Flickering. Again, another nice image, very well composed. The sky is really well done. I like the color, the pastel colors. The skyline, the buildings are nicely done. Even maybe even cropped in a little bit more to highlight the buildings, but it's done well. But overall, well done. This image receives a score of 13. Yellowstone Geyser is the next image. I love the color coming from the geyser. Really different colors: the blues, the greens, the mustard yellow. I almost want to see just that instead of the trees in the background. I cropped into the geyser even more, and not really necessarily had the whole skyline. I think the image would have a lot of punch, and this image does receive a score of 13. Well done. Okay, the next image is a dragonfly skimming the surface of water. I like this image a lot. The dragonfly, the interesting color, much respect for the photographer using probably a macro lens to get this shot. I wish there were some other elements in the pond for me, maybe a lily pad or a flower floating. It tends to go a little bland in my mind. Well done. This image receives a score of 13. Congrats. Wild Seed Farms, and I really enjoy this image. I love the color. It pops. Composition is well done. This reminds me almost like a Norman Rockwell type of photo, something that you will receive a postcard from a vineyard. This photographer really took their time, patient, maybe used a tripod to make sure everything was leveled. The Photoshop or Lightroom work is done very well. It's not overdone in my mind. This image received a score of 14, so very, very well done. Category of intermediate photography, and we're starting out called Going Home, and it looks like three or four rams taking a stroll. To me, it's not a huge impactful image or very interesting as far as is it going to grab me or not. And you don't need to have everything in the shot. Sometimes you just need to kind of get an attitude of the image by capturing something a little bit closer. It could be a limitation of where you were standing, or the lens that you were using. This image receives a 7. It's called Still Life. The color needs to be worked on. It's the cast of it is yellow, overall yellowish green, and I would have fixed that before submitting to the competition. It's very busy. The paintbrush, the cups. You got two white cream objects next to each other. There's no contrast. This image receives a 7. Photo is called The Shadow Nose. Tight shot, beautiful beast, and very sharp, good contrast. The shadow, I see the shadow of the horn and so on. It's not a very compelling shot for me. It's just a good photo as far as the technical aspects of it. Just as far as the subject matter, it just doesn't really move the needle for me. This image receives an 8. Photo is George portrait, and probably lit by some strobe or some very high wattage daylight bulbs. It's a done well photo. It's sharp. It's got good color. The subject is just probably would have challenged myself a little differently with this with a competition. You want to grab people's attention, and it would have been great with a human being, put a person there. So this image receives an 8. All right, our next image is Freedom and Statue in Old Glory. It really reflects a kind of a per se. Maybe if the shot had more of the flag or more of the statue, just the composition's it's a square format, doesn't look like it fits. And if the exposure of the statue could have been a little bit higher, and the color's a little flat. This image does receive a 9. All right, our next photo is a shot in the dark. Don't know what's illuminating the photo, or whether it's a street light or something. It's a good capture. The angle would have been a little bit more direct. You can't really see the full head of the bird. His head is angled, but there's nothing wrong with this image. Shadows a little bit too much. Maybe would have taken the shadows out a little bit. That's about it. And this image receives a 9. It's morning at the lake. Not particularly happy with a lot of the shadows in the image. It gets a little too dark for me. Get some highlights onto the trees so that I'm not kind of looking for where to center my focus on. Focused in on the pond section to the right, and centered that, and then had the reflection there. I think it would have represented a much better image. So it does receive a 10. Image is Island Faces, and it's pretty cool. Kind of like the subject. I don't know if it's from I don't know if they're the original faces from Easter Island, or they're kind of a mock-up of that. A little bit on the flat side, but it's not. It doesn't always have to be super sharp. But I like the ropes and the elements that are used for to put this photograph together. I'm not sure if this is something that was displayed. This receives a 10. Our next image, an eerie day, and it's eerie. It's an eerie looking photo. The composition of the image, where either a very overcast or foggy day. I just don't like it being so flat. As a black and white image, I view black and white as just it has to be a little bit more contrast. There's got to be a little bit more sharpness to it. It's just a 10. Our next image is called To Iris, and it's a very colorful, nicely done shot of the two flowers. I don't like the bowl. It's obviously the yellow flowers sitting in a bowl or a vase don't have to be so tight into the shot. Composing it and maybe using some design elements with it. So this image does receive a 10. All right, our next photo is No Mail Today. Really good landscape shot. I mean, tack sharp, great cloud coverage, great. I just don't think everything works together. I don't know. The mailbox looks really cool, and I think the mountains are messing up the photo. Either you shoot the mountain or shoot the mailbox. I don't think they both fit in this concept, the way it looks to me. Better, it receives an 11. Next image is church rooftop view, kind of building shot, very sharp, excellent detail. There's a couple of things I don't like about it, and maybe it's the angle. I look at angles a lot. I look at, what are you trying to tell me? And again, you did say there's a church rooftop view. What if the shot would have looked like if you just concentrated on the side of the building with just the bell, or shot tighter and just zoomed in onto that? This image does receive an 11. Here, our next image is Scratch That Itch. Kind of wondering how this shot would have looked like if you weren't too concerned with the horn and just focused on the head of the cow, the steer. There's nothing wrong with this image. It's just a pretty cool shot if it would have just been the steer's head and not worried about the horns just as much. But this photo receives an 11. All right, our next photo is Glacier Ice, and I like it. I like this image a lot. I like the color of that blue from the glacier. It's pretty unique. What I don't like is that it's so far away. Sometimes we have too much real estate to try to. It's there's nothing wrong with it. I would have loved to have seen a shot of the glacier a little bit closer from bottom to top. This image does receive an 11. Okay, the next image is Transformation. This is a pretty cool shot. I really like it. It's pretty sharp. I'm part of the competition, but I think it's really well done, very laid out, very strong lines. You can see where there's some kind of tree in the middle. It looks a little bit fake, kind of, or the highlights are a little bit too bright, but black taking out of that area. The composition is really well done. I wish the two trees were kind of the same tone. It's a good image. The score of 12. Congratulations. Garden of the God, good color. I don't know if it was shot. There's no really impact from the sun. It's just kind of a very even tone, edge to edge photo. So the highlights are not popping. There's no real matter to me. It's not super interesting. Again, that's because the highlights are kind of muted down. But other than that, it's a great photo. This image does receive a 12. Lacrosse. Great action shot. Got the ball in flight. The three players in the foreground, pretty much in sharp. Great action shot. I guess my only critique, it is kind of, the contrast is pretty high, or if you were trying to do a little HDR, I don't know, it's just a little too muddy. I would have reduced the blacks just a little bit. You got everything in play. I was giving this to a client. I think they would be happy. This receives a score of 12. Okay, the next image is called Glow. Again, a very excellent photo. Really like the composition, the subject. It's not misleading. The photo is gravitate to the image. There's maybe the cropping a little bit. I don't know. There's too much black on top of her. All in all, just getting it, the exposure the way you got it, and just the tonality of the image is really well done. This receives a score of 13. This image, Sakuras. I really like this image. I think the beginners could really learn a lot from this shot here. How it's composed, the color, the sharpness, and it doesn't. I mean, it's not a sharpness where it has to be razor sharp, but it's in focus. Everything's in focus. Everything's laid out. The detail is so smooth. It's very nice. Excellent work. This receives a score of 13. Congratulations. We are now in the advanced judging first, and our is abstract in white, and it looks like some sort of plumbing. There's so much more you can have done. The angle, maybe shooting it from the side, where there's an idea of what it is, but you're not really sure what it is, and then you could have called it whatever. It's just make it look like artwork, not just a piece of hardware. Very lacking in creativity. This photo receives a 10. Yellow reflection. I love the reflection of the water. Obviously, that is the subject. I would have cropped in. Wouldn't need to see the building, the base of the building, or that boat, which is distracting. It would have been a really cool, abstract-looking image. Add a little bit more color, a little bit more vibrancy and saturation, and I think it would have had an excellent image. This image receives an 11. Rain on Island, and I do like this image. I like the way you laid it out. It's almost. It looks so isolated and far. First, if I didn't read the title, I couldn't tell if it was raining or a foggy day or someone. You don't really see the detail in the water, but it's and not having it so muted and so flat, you receive an 11. Just wait. This is another example where this it's an excellent boat. I mean, that old rusted boat, and just it looks really cool. Why have all these rocks in front of it? I don't get it. There's just too much real estate going on over here. I know what you're trying to try to tell a story, isolated object, but I just would have reversed my angle and not have worried about all the rocks and stuff. This image receives a 12. Faith Hope, young athlete after training session. For some reason, I want to see more. It's really cropped very tight. I'm not sure if that was your intention. Sweat. You can see this young man has been working his butt off in whatever he's doing, and you captured that moment. So it would also have been pretty cool probably to see this in black and white, just to see the contrast in the image. But really good capture. This image receives a 13. Congratulations. Catch of the day. Another great photo. This is a work of art. Just the water itself, the way the puddles are and the reflection. It's very, very interesting. The bird and the fish. I mean, just really the way it's framed, the water splashing, the fish, the bird. Great, great job. Kind of nitpicking. Could have been a little sharper on the edges of the wing, but heck, this is a hard photograph to take. Good job. This image also receives a 14. The long, hot, rough road. This image blows me away. Photographer did a well thought out shot. The composition, just where you were standing, the exposure, and your editing. Excellent work. This image receives a 14. Congratulations. Early morning in hot spring, and it's a very nice pastel-y landscape photograph. Cool colors. I like the blues and the transition to the green. I just don't like the composition of the image. I don't like the docks to the other side. I think the angle could have been a little bit different. You know, really working to not have a distracting element into the shot, shooting more into the countryside or to the left of the lake. This image receives an 8. Joyful imitators. It looks like you used some sketch from Photoshop and composited some images to put together. You know, I don't know if this is a good image for this contest. It's a photography contest, and so I want to look at photos. I don't want to look at abstracts and design or something that it takes a photo and turns it into something else. Being a traditionalist as far as the competition is concerned, this image receives a 9. Enchanted Park, another landscape photo, some Christmas lights or lit trees in ponded area. You know, it's not as sharp as I think it could be, especially the bridge. It's not something in this particular category that I would have expected to see. Again, it's not a bad photo. It's just not at par with the other landscape photos that we reviewed earlier in this category. So this image receives a 9. Mockingbird bathing in pond. It's a clean shot, very sharp, good connection with the composition. Everything seems to be good. You know, you see all the droplets of the water, and if that was more centered piece, if the bird was in the center of the frame and cropped in some more, I think it would have been a lot better, and I think the score would have reflected that. So it's a good photo. I think I could have been a lot better by just repositioning your angle. And but this image receives a 10. Surely You Jest. This is a portrait of two court jesters, I believe. Color lit well, sharp, posy for me. Doesn't hit me. Maybe it doesn't engage me. Again, this is not just as the subject matter is. It just doesn't have the energy to make me stop without flipping the page. And that's why would I stop and look at this photo? This image receives an 11. Hyatt Hotel at 42nd Street, New York City. Pretty cool. Just like the lines and so on, and just how clean it is. Done well. Don't know if you could have done anything different. I don't like this building to the left or so. Maybe it would have been eliminated if you would have stepped up a little bit, a few yards. But knowing that you're in Manhattan, you would have gotten hit by a taxi cab, so I guess that wouldn't have worked. But this image is really cool. It receives a 12. In the Wheeler Wilderness, New Mexico. The people in the photo ruined the shot. Get the people out of there. I mean, that would be my opinion. And I don't like the tree in front. So if you had, I'm not sure how this is laid out, but if you could have gotten in front of those trees and did the shot, I think it would have been a lot better. But other than that, it's a good photo. This image receives a 12. Portals of Nankoweap ruins. I like the red brick, the red stone of the mountain, the side of the mountain. I like the river to the left. Just would have loved to seen the river in the middle. I mean, majestic image of that. If the river was a little bit more pronounced in the photo, because it looks so cool from what I'm seeing. Sky looks a little bit overdone. I would have just loved to see more centered to the right. This image receives the A12. Bobcat, Starr County, Texas. You know, I get to see a lot of bobcats in my backyard, which I'm never really happy about, but this is a beautiful capture of this animal. Great color, illuminated perfectly. The depth of field, the focusing. It's you know, if he was stuffed and put there, you could have taken a better photo. Great job on all aspects of this image. This is how you should shoot an animal. This image receives a 13. Dead Horse Point, and another wonderful landscape shot. Looks like you've taken your time. Great contrast, the black and white, very clean. The framing of it's a little on the square side. Wonderful shot, wonderful would-be print, and this image receives a 13. Fly Away With Me. Just looking at it, this is a composite image. There are some edges that I can see, especially around the girl and her arm. Where you shot this or where you're putting them out. If you're doing a composite, I would have picked a different field or done where there's the trees are just really overpowering the image. If there was just a blue sky behind her, it would have been perfect. I know how difficult these shots are, so congratulations. The score is 13 for this image. Called Colors Revealed, and great shot. I look for images that if I was looking through a magazine and just flipping through pages, what would make me stop and really want to discover this image, and it captivates me, and this is one of them. And I apologize for all the 13s in this category. It's just that all these photos are so darn good. And again, I just had a hard time kind of rating them. But I want it being fair. Again, this is a great shot. This would be a great print. Nothing wrong. Technically, just done well. Congratulations. This image does receive a 13. Simply called Gorilla, and it's a good photo. A really strong photo. Detail. I mean, this is one manicured gorilla. Just a wonderful contact with your subject. I couldn't get a human to give me that kind of look. Just wonderful. I really like done so well. I know it looks a little cropped in, but it doesn't. I mean, it's insignificant. It would make a nice print. Done well. This image receives a 13. Field of canola flowers. Panoramic, colorful post, great image. I mean, where is this place? Is this actually a place to go visit? It's just done so well. Like I said, you can't go wrong with any of these images. I've gone back and forth with them, and I hope no one's feeling offended on how I'm scoring. I think any one of these images could win the contest. I've just very impactful. These are great shots. This image receives a 13. The pearls on her back. Another wow image. Pose excellently. Not overpowering. Just at the right tone. The contrast. The tonality of the photo. Perfect. Really nothing. Don't necessarily need to see the messy hair, but that's just me. You could have cropped it even more into her hand and started from there. But again, it's just me. But in this image receives a 14. Gray Hope Bay Light. And the first thing that comes to my mind is Ansel Adams. I mean, I'm pretty sure this photographer has been inspired by him one way or the other, whether it's from the composition aspect of it or just from the post-processing. Well done. Again, another image that I could have flip-flopped on. You just did an excellent job. Again, I'm just amazed about this group and the work. Congratulations, this image receives a 14. The Abbot, and I love it. I love the simple lighting, the clean lighting. I'm not saying simple as it was easy, but saying it doesn't overpower the subject, wraps the subject, and it completes the image. Whether you're using a large softbox or a window light or so on, you just did an excellent job of capturing the subject in, and this image receives the highest score of 15.